And what was your enthusiasm like when you heard that Barack Obama invested all this money into Flint? What was your thought process when you made such an impact?
Honestly, it really wasn't that surprising because, as someone as big as he is, of course he's not only gonna come to my community, speak to the people, but he also took the time to donate to my community. And I think that was really good. The only issue is that I'm not trying to bash my community's leaders. I'm not trying to bash our elected leaders, but there was a case where, our water now is still not fixed. You would think the money that Mr. President Barack Obama had donated would have went to, fixing our water to making sure that everybody has clean, safe drinking water. No, our water till this day is still not fixed. Where'd the money go? No, the city has no idea apparently. So all I can say is that our water isn't still fixed. We still have dirty drinking water, and I just think that's a little bit crazy how, he donated such a large amount, and you would think, it would at least help cover, the pipes and stuff. No, no, because nobody still has clean, safe drinking water.
So what you're saying, in other words, is you're not happy with Barack and the stuff that he's done at the moment. I mean, what he when he left the
No,
you know
no,
the
no, 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 no. I'm no, 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 no. I appreciate Brock for what he did. I'm not bashing Brock. I'm bashing the elected leaders inside of Flint because you would think that if somebody is donating money to help fix the issue, you would think that the people receiving the money would fix the issue, but they didn't fix the issue because if the issue was fixed, Flint would have clean, safe drinking water now. It is 2026. We don't have any clean, safe drinking water. I still can't even drink from out the faucet inside of my home without using a water filter. Same with a whole bunch of other people. Like we all appreciate Brock for he donated money. He donated such a large amount. But the people who received the money, aka our city's leaders, they kind of just took the money and we don't really know what they did with it. We don't know if it actually went to the pipes or we don't know what it actually went to because, they were the ones who received the money. And you would think, they would use the money for good and fix our pipes, but no, because like I mentioned, once again, we still don't have clean drinking water.
So what would you like to say to your local council, also your government? Obviously, they've received this $100 million, and at the same time, clearly, what you're saying is there is no drinking. The drinking water is still such an issue. What message would you tell them, or what can you tell the local people who actually live in Flint?
Honestly, and it's so frustrating because the elected leaders here do not listen to the community at all. You have so many people in the community still complaining about not having clean, safe drinking water. The water coming out of some people's faucets are still brown. It still smells terrible. It's still giving people rashes. And yet, people come up to city council and time after time, during public comment, we're all expressing our genuine concerns and problems, to our city council. And yet we have some people on the city council who decide that it's okay to roll their eyes and not listen to anybody when they're talking. And it's really frustrating because you would think that, these are the elected leaders that the community elected into. Okay. They voted these people into where they are now. And yet they're not helping the community. Yes, some of our council people are in fact helping the community. Like we love those council people, but the other council people are really rude and don't care about the community. They only care about how it makes them look. Like they're not actually helping the community. They're just saying that they are. They put their face and names onto, other people's flyers and stuff and say that they're doing something big, but they're really not. And then when they do show up to certain events and stuff, they're only doing it so it makes them look good on camera. And that's really, really, really frustrating considering once again, my community is still going through a water crisis, and not only that, we are going through a gun violence crisis too. Our elected leaders do not care about the community, and it's really frustrating because once again, The community voted these people in, and yet they're not doing anything to protect us. And it's just really, really, really frustrating.
So
And
so
time
so
after time after time.
so so what can you, in terms of gun violence, and clearly there's a huge water issue that's happening in Flint at the moment. What illnesses have you had, or your family have had, or you people that you've known that are still getting sick from this water? As you said, there's brown water coming out, which is a real health disaster. I mean, what you've just said is really disturbing. So, what sort of illnesses have you had, Mary, and your family or friends?
So back when the water crisis first had started out, my little sister had a rash so bad all on her arm to the point where it looked comparable to a chemical burn. Like it was literally burning her skin. She had to have this really special ointment and be wrapped inside plastic wrap and had to try to heal her skin because of how bad it was. A lot of the older people inside the community ended up dying from legionnaires because legionnaires is a really big thing. Quite a few kids inside the community got lead poisoning, and to this day, those very same kids are still struggling inside school and struggling growing up due to lead poisoning. Like it's really bad. It's really bad. See, me, I haven't had really, really, really bad rashes, but I know for a fact, like, there's this spot on my face right here. It's a dry patch from the water, and I've had it ever since the water crisis started because, back then when I was younger, starting out, I didn't really know like how bad it was, until my mom had to tell us, like me and my siblings, like, no, like we can't take bubble baths, we can't take regular showers, like we can't even brush our teeth, we can't make Kool-Aid, like we can't really do nothing with the water because it's dangerous. Like it's dangerous. So it's just really like it's really bad, and we lost a lot of people from, water poisoning, and that's not okay. It's not okay.
And how do you take showers, Mary? How when it comes to brushing your teeth? Can you please explain to me so I can understand and come to a realization how you're able to brush your teeth, make a cup of tea, have a shower? I mean, Are you scared to do all this when it comes to the water?
Honestly, no, because one, inside my community household, and I know for a fact a lot of households inside my community, we use water filters. We use shower filters, of course. So there is a shower filter on our shower head. That there's a shower filter on a lot of people's shower heads. We have water filters that go right underneath the sink. So, but at the same time, a lot of people are still skeptical of using the water, even if you have a filter on it. Like, I mean, I would be pretty like skeptical too. I mean, even though it's supposed to be filtering out the water, I'd still be a little bit scared to, actually like get a glass and, run it under the tap and actually take a sip of it. But, a lot of people to this day use either filters or they use still bottled water. And I know inside my household, we still use bottled water too. So honestly, like, everybody in the community has made it adaptable. Like, if anything, like, because we've been living like this like for a really long time, so people have been making it work, but at the same time, you know the cost of things, especially bottled water, like inflation and everything, it hasn't been going super good. So, and mind you, people like rely on either water filters or strictly rely on bottled water because once again, people don't trust the water that's coming out of their faucet. And then, and at the same time, there's some people inside our community that will be like, well, my water is fixed, which is true because, I'm gonna say this, there is like, there's only a few communities, like not even communities, more or less a few houses that got their faucets fixed, that have clean drinking water. But all the other low poor end communities, our lesser communities, yeah, we still don't have clean drinking water. So it is very frustrating when there's people in the more up higher communities that are like, well, we have clean drinking water. That's good for you, but the rest of the community of Flint does not have clean, safe drinking water.
Now, Are you scared, Mary? Are you worried about what's going to happen to you and family? And I mean, you clearly are very passionate about this. Are you scared? What's going to happen to you and your family if this continues with the water situation in Flint?
Honestly, yes and no. Because at the same time, it's like, yes, like I am extremely scared that our water is still gonna continue to get dirtier and dirtier by day. And on top of that, like I don't want any, other, deaths to occur from the water. But at the same time, we just learn to adapt with it. Even if our water doesn't get fixed, we're always going to learn to adapt to it because that's what we've always been taught to do. We've always been taught to, not drink the water, don't use the water. If the water smells bad, don't use it. Just use bottled water for literally everything. I just really hope that like my city's water gets fixed because it's not right. It's really not right that we've been struggling all this time. Like a whole community should not be struggling with with bad, dirty water. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's really bad.
Now, when you said, you were surprised, you don't know where the money's gone. Obviously, when you said in the first question when I asked you, and $100 million was donated, or was not donated, but it was approved by Barack to actually invest into Flint water because he knew what you were saying was
Mhm.
correct. Where do you
Yep.
think, as someone who lives in Flint, what do you think happened to the money, or what do you think it's gone?
Now, you know, you know, have all my opinions. Everybody else has all their different opinions about it. Personally, I think it went into some people's pockets. I really think, it went into the elected leaders' pockets. But then again, I guess we'll just never know, honestly. Like, it's really like, we'll just never know. And that's like really crazy. But mm, it's like a mystery.
Hmm. And what would you say if you saw Barack again? I know recently you had a conversation with Biden, Joe Biden, and you were having that discussion with him. What would you say to Barack if you saw him again or kept in touch with him? What would you tell him?
Honestly, I think I would still tell him like, "Hey, our water still isn't fixed." I think I'd probably ask him like, could you like speak to the city again to give us a little bit more hope because people to this day are lost that hope because our water's not fixed. Honestly, I don't really know what fully I would tell him. I think I would just tell him about like how badly like the water is still affecting a lot of people inside the community. Mhm.
Now, being an activist is about raising awareness, and you've clearly done that, and you've done your part to be recognized by the president of, the former president of America. Now, obviously, you've got the current president, Donald Trump. Do you think raising it to him would be beneficial, writing a letter to him to inform him about
Oh
Flint?
no. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. See, I have my strong opinions about Trump. I do not like that man. He's not a good person and I don't want to write to somebody who doesn't really care about Flint nor cares about any black communities. It's been proved time after time that he does not care about black communities. Very racist person. I don't want to be associated with somebody like that. I refuse. I refuse that. I wouldn't want to send a letter to that man. I don't want to send a letter to him at all. Because what would he do? What would he do realistically? He's not gonna just drop everything that he's doing and donate to Flint. No, he only cares about other rich people. Like it's really messed up. But ah, mm-mm.
No, absolutely. Now, in terms of Flint, and as you said, black communities. Yes, at the same time, we live in a very strange and individual. Well, let's just be honest now. A very racist world. People do
Mm-hmm.
get. People segregate each other on a daily basis. Do you think, in your opinion, the reason why the water hasn't been properly done is because it is a black community?
Yes, honestly, it's environmental racism. It's environmental racism at its finest.
It's very disappointing to hear this, Mary, that
Yes.
this is happening to you, and you've raised such an awareness, and at the same time you managed to get a donation, or the government donation of $100 million, and nothing's been done because there's a environmental racism going on. That is very, very deeply disconcerting.
Mm-hmm.
So my other question now is if you won't if you won't write to Donald Trump now, because obviously of your strong opinions, and that's fine. You're entitled to your opinions. And, as a young woman, you're entitled to your opinions, and that's absolutely fine. But what can be done, Mary, if you won't write it? Because clearly you were a voice for Barack at the time, and you and your family wrote that letter, and you got recognised. But now, obviously, to make a difference, knowing that people are going to be suffering, what can you do now? What are you planning to do, or is there anything you're able to do now?
Honestly, I can just keep on using my voice like how I've been doing because at the same time, who else is gonna raise their voice? Who else is gonna do the stuff that I'm doing to make sure that my community is okay? If my communities and elected leaders aren't gonna do anything, then I'm gonna do something about it. And that's what I've always been doing. I started this when I was 8 years old, and I'm 18 going on 19 next month, and I'm still being the biggest advocate for my community of Flint, Michigan, and I will continue being the biggest advocate because at the same time, once again, if I don't do it, who else will? Nobody else will, realistically. So I want to keep on being the voice here. And not only for that, I want to keep on raising awareness for the youth here inside of my community too. Like, the youth here do matter.
Absolutely, Mary. Absolutely. Now, my last question, then we're going to do an audio interview after this for the radio. Now, in terms of your advice to people out there who want to, how to say in other words, who want to follow in your footsteps as an activist, but at the same time who are going through these massive struggles, and people in Flint are seriously getting ill, as you said, at the same time they're getting scared. What advice would you give to your local people that are living in Flint?
Honestly, I think the most advice I could give to the people that live inside their community is that don't give up, okay? Don't give up. Don't lose hope, okay? And honestly, I think the main thing I can just say is like, don't give up, honestly, because that's what we've been told for years on years since this happened. So we just gotta not give up. We gotta keep on being hopeful and try to keep on, we gotta keep on fighting for what's right. Because if we don't fight for what's right, then nothing's gonna get done.
Absolutely, Mary. Mary, I want to say thank you so much for your time today. It was a real honor speaking to you and having this conversation with you. And we look forward to getting work and getting this out there. Thank you so much, Mary. And
You're welcome.
before you go, I'm going to stop this